This episode of the Digital Desperados podcast is brought to you by SaferNet VPN, found online at SaferNet.com.
Welcome to the Digital Desperados podcast featuring dark tales from the web. Patrick McMurphy's here today to tell us our dark tales, and he's joined by Brad Hawkins, founder and CEO of SaferNet, online at SaferNet.com. I'm Jim Brangenberg, and I'll serve, somehow crowd control, story guide, whatever it is. Just remember, this podcast brought to you by SaferNet. SaferNet brings security and safety to your business and organization through powerful tools like a VPN, web filters, internet controls, and an easy-to-use internet console where you can see what everybody is doing on the internet while you're paying them to do their work all day long. It's priced so that every organization can take advantage of these powerful features on every device you control. Check out SaferNet.com. That's SaferNet.com. All right, Patrick McMurphy, what dark tale are you telling us today?
Today, Jim, I want to talk about a guy called Vladimir Drinkman. And so Vladimir Drinkman's life is a good warning on who you give your data to, especially when it comes to things like credit cards, debit cards. So Vladimir is born in 1981 in Russia. Now, the name of his hometown is right in front of me, and I cannot pronounce it, so I'm not going to try and insult the good people in that town. But it's 1981 Russia.
Syktyvkar.
Syktyvkar. Yes, yeah. I've insulted someone out there in that town. So we don't know anything about his childhood or his upbringing, but given his later expertise in life, it's obvious that he got into computers pretty early on. What we do know specifically, and this is a massively important part about him, is that he was very interested in SQL. And what SQL is, it's a programming language for managing databases. And something you can do illegally with SQL are something called SQL injections. And so what this is that it would be malicious SQL code. And so that would allow you to manipulate a database and get it to display information to you that it was not supposed to. Now, you need a very high level of SQL to pull this off. SQL injections still occur every day. Even today, they're always happening. But I cannot overstate on how talented Vladimir was with SQL and carrying out injections. He might be, of all the people I've researched, he's probably the greatest master of SQL I know of. This guy was just, it was like a second language to him. So Vlad attended university in his hometown again, which I can't pronounce, but he studied radio physics here and electronics. He took minor courses in cybersecurity and IT technologies. It was here in university that Vlad began hacking. And the reason I know it was in university in 1996, and I've never seen this happen with anyone we've talked about, is that Vladimir today has a very updated LinkedIn page that you can go look at right now if you look Vladimir Drinkman, and he has everything about himself on it. I've never seen a black hat hacker do that in my life, but formally, according to LinkedIn, he begins hacking in 1996. Now, it was pretty small.
You know, I'm going to do that as soon as we're done here.
Oh, I added him on LinkedIn. I was trying to reach out to him. Hey, Vlad, you want a job?
Can you clean your act up? We need good people.
Now, he was early on. It was small time. He was probing kind of small but international companies, seeing could he enter their databases. He was just building experience. But he got really tapped into the hacking community online. He became nearly best friends with one individual, Albert Gonzalez, another digital desperado that we covered way back. I think it must have been episode 2 or something. Initially, they didn't work together a lot much, but they compared a lot of notes. He taught Albert a lot of SQL injections. Albert taught him a lot. They were looking at, how you could use SQLs to yield credit card information, other personal information, things like that. But we'll get back to Gonzalez's involvement in this later on. By 2004, Vlad had assembled his own hacking crew, a crew of 4 other Russian hackers. They had one very simple goal. It was financial gain by manipulating databases and really just examining how easy it was to obtain data, because how freely people, even today, are giving it to companies. And before we go into the companies they hit, it's kind of important to understand how they worked and how long these attacks went on for. Because a lot of hacks we see are in and out jobs, but this was long game hacking. So initially, the group, they would identify an SQL database that belonged to a company that had very poor security. They would use SQL injections and then enter the company database. Once it was infiltrated, they would write malware in form of a backdoor on a database. And to describe what a backdoor is that if you break into any kind of system or a database, a computer network, you can leave something called a backdoor, and this allows you to enter again later on effortlessly, basically.
So basically, you're creating your own password.
Patrick,
I was going to say, basically, you're giving your own backdoor. You're creating your own password into the place, because if somebody finds out that you use their password, they're going to change it. But if you create your own backdoor, now you've got you've got a key to get into any time.
Exactly, it's a second pair of keys, is what it is.
What I find is fascinating is that most people, when you talk to them about being hacked, they see it as a one-time quick effect of their business, and they see that somebody attacked us and we need to get it stopped or whatever it is. But most people don't understand that 67% of all hacks go unnoticed.
Exactly.
They're backdoors into companies or into networks, and it's like this ongoing thing. It's a multi-year process of snagging and stealing data. The one-time effect is when you realize it, and that's where I think most people are shocked that all of a sudden they've been hacked. Well, no, there's a lot of companies out there being hacked long term. There's their data, their information is being sucked out on a regular basis, and they're just oblivious. And they're talking to our salespeople saying, "Oh, we're fine. We don't need anything. we don't need any help. We're in good shape." Nobody would ever want to hack us as their data is being leaked out the back door all day long. So yeah, that's this long time thing of me that just drives me out of my mind is how often people are being hacked long term and they have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even with that, if a company is hacked, like in the case here with Vlad, if one of their security teams finds the backdoor, obviously they get rid of it. But Vlad and his team re-enters just more covertly every time. So these guys are like dogs with a bone, But the thing is here, and it's kind of what you said as well, Brad, the malware backdoor would last on a database or a network for years at a time. They actually wrote something called sniffers, and what a sniffer does is that if any new information is entered to the database, the sniffer feeds the information back out through the back door and back to Vlad's email. Oh, well, probably not his email, but his system anyway. So what they were doing here, they were siphoning credit card information that would be on a database. They would then sell this on the dark web in what are called dumps. And so dumps are just repositories of other stolen card information. The resellers would then print that information on magnetic strips on cards. And so they would basically make a clone of someone's card. Per card, now this depended on the country of origin, type of bank, but each card sold for about $10 to $50. And Vladimir was a businessman. So for example, repeat customers, there's bulk deals, there's special discounts and things like that. But what does that mean to the average customer, to me and you with a card?
Or their average consumer? I want to just hang on to that thought for just a second, because Brad, what I want to know is, how does SaferNet help us prevent this? So when these guys are trying to get in, and you've got a lot of different tools that you guys use. How does SaferNet prevent this from happening?
Oh, we'll go through and lock down all devices and not allow someone to get in through a device. And so much of the time, somebody's going to go and click on a bad email or click on a link in an email that says, "Oh, here's your bill. Click on this," or whatever it is, and open the door wide open. But once somebody gets in and establishes a back door, you got to shut down that back door. You just can't have that accessed anymore. But what we can do is we can stop them from going throughout the rest of the network. So we can lock it down from being able to get through the rest of the network. But if they've got a back door into a database, they've got a back door into the database, and you can't let them get that.
For the tools that you can provide, we've got VPN, internet filters, web filters, a powerful console where you can see what's going on all over your company. Check out SaferNet.com. That's SaferNet.com. All right, Patrick. So you asked the question, so what does this mean to the average consumer?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so we'll say, any of us, we go into something like a 7-Eleven, we buy some item, we get some items, we pay by credit card. That information basically flies through a system and it gets cached by a database. That database happens to have some terrible security. And so Vlad and his guys are monitoring it. So once you put in that credit card information, it's found by Vlad's sniffers, and then they can go on and resell it. You then get a bill a month later with all these charges made to your card that you never ever did. So that's the crux of it, really. And that's what it means to people that, there's a company you trust or, you're familiar with and you think they're secure, but they're actually not. You pay with credit card and that information is gone immediately. And so who do they hit first? The first big hit was 2005. It was the TJX companies. There was a theft of 94 million credit and debit card numbers. So massive first strike, shook up retail cybersecurity massively. 2007 was the Hannaford brothers. They stole 4.2 million credit and debit card numbers again. There was massive losses here, and there's losses.
Did you say billion?
Billion.
That is, I mean, think about that number.
Yeah,
4.2 billion numbers.
It was million though. It wasn't billion. It was million.
Oh, okay.
That would be as most credit cards as there is in Canada.
I was trying to comprehend that. So that's. I'm glad we clarified.
But later in that year, in 2007, it was actually 7-Eleven got hit. Basically, they got into the card systems for a massive chain across the US of 7-Elevens. Following that, there was a J.C. Penney attack, the exact same. And these continue. Some of the companies and establishment hit are things like Carrefour, Comdia, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, Euronet, Visa Jordan, JetBlue, Global Payment. These guys they know what they're doing. And in fact, a US attorney later on says that he said, this type of crime is the cutting edge. This case shows that there's a real practical cost because these types of frauds increase the cost of doing business for every American consumer every day. We cannot be too vigilant and we cannot be too careful. So they're huge, these are massive attacks. Their biggest attack, however, and turned out to be their last one, was against Heartland payment systems. This was one of the long game ones. This is from 2007 to 2009. So 2 years they're on this guy's system. It was one of the largest breaches at the time. It was a theft of over 130 million credit card numbers. So gigantic. Now we did mention Alberto Gonzalez a while ago. So this was actually one of the cases where he was involved with the hacking group. And so he got picked up for this one. If you guys can remember that episode, he got arrested for this. The authorities knew there was other hackers like Vlad, but they didn't know who they were. And so because Gonzalez gets caught here, Vladimir and the crew said, okay, we're going to step back. We're going to lay low for a little while. But June 28, 2012, Vladimir, they're on vacation. He's on vacation with his wife because, they're taking a break from being criminal masterminds. He's tipped off by someone. It's definitely the FSB, by the way, but tipped off by someone that the Americans know his identity and location. So he's in the hotel with his wife. They said, okay, we're going to grab a cab to the airport, get out of here. They get in the cab pulls out, and immediately an unmarked police car pulls in front of them. So they're being watched. He immediately gets arrested. Simultaneously, another one of his co-workers is arrested, and both of them are sent to The Hague to stand trial, basically awaiting extradition to the US.
It makes you wonder why they didn't go into the hotel while he was sunbathing and arrest him. They had to wait till he jumped in a cab, but maybe they didn't have permission. It's a great story, and it ties together lots of our hackers because we know that they're all related. I mean, they're all hanging out with each other in the dark web somewhere. Just remember that SaferNet can bring safety and security to your business and organization. They got powerful tools that you need in your organization every day, not to mention how you can watch where everything is going, where all your people are going during the day on the internet. Check out SaferNet.com. That's SaferNet.com. Patrick, you mentioned that he went to The Hague to stand on trial. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so he's at The Hague. I mean, you never want to go on trial in The Hague because that's where they send like war criminals and things, But it's revealed at this time that the group had caused over $300 million worth of damage realistically, that number is probably a lot higher. Eventually, in 2015, the two that were arrested, they get extradited to stand trial in New Jersey. They're facing 70 years each. So 2017, they're in trial in New Jersey. And of course, some deals must have went down here with the government. They were sentenced to 144 months, 12 years. The other three members of the gang who were never arrested, they probably fled back to Russia and more than likely have very cushy jobs in the FSB. So the question is, where is Vladimir now? So, and this is the great part, it's the funny part. So Vladimir right now is a free man. He lives in Philadelphia. He's working as a white hat hacker. That is to say, he's completely reformed. He's a cybersecurity specialist with a company called Annex. He does conferences around the US. He works as a consultant. His arrested colleague is also working in the US, but he did not have a very open LinkedIn about it. But in Vlad's own words, because he has spoken quite a bit about all this, he says, "This narrative of transformation underscores my dedication to ethical cybersecurity. My experience as a former black hat hacker is now the foundation for protecting organization, utilizing my once covert skills for robust ethical cyber defense." And I will say his LinkedIn profile photo says open to work if anyone's looking to hire. But Vladimir Drinkman, he's a good lesson on how you use things like credit card information. Again, look, you're dealing with a trusted company, but how's their cybersecurity? It's probably terrible, as Vladimir proved.
What I think, Patrick, just is stymies is that, of course, he says he's reformed, and he's now a white hat hacker. I don't know. And he's got a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, very open.
I'm somewhat skeptical. Brad, what about you?
I truly believe somebody can reform.
Of course.
But the history of the conversations we've had over so many people that have said they've reformed.
Yes, that's the point.
That they've gone in and they've reformed for a period of time until they get tired of living the lifestyle that they're living under a reformed life. I will continue to have some doubts, but I certainly hope that that's a real thing. There should be some redemption available for anybody, but I also think that you can't do it when you create a relationship with the government that says, "Hey, I get out of my penalty if I can do a little bit of help for you."
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that too many times.
Every time. Almost every episode.
Yeah, that's right. Just remember. Go ahead, Brad.
But it also opens up a great opportunity for people to realize, you know what, if you get really good at this, go get a legit job that allows you to be really good at it and work for the government and do these things without having to go through the criminal side and then into it. So anyway,
it's sometimes they say crime doesn't pay, but I think in his case it kind of did. But
yeah, I think it did. All right, just remember you heard it here, right here on the Digital Desperados podcast. The internet and everything digital can have a dark side with many dark players, even reformed ones who have LinkedIn profiles. It's why you need SaferNet by your side, VPN, antivirus, web filters, so much more. Thanks to SaferNet for supporting our efforts to bring these stories to your ears and giving them the exposure they need. Please, for your own security and the security of those you love and those you work with, check out SaferNet.com. And how about those you sell to, your customers? Check out SaferNet.com.
That's right.
Get secured today. Till the next time, click only on the attachments you trust and answer the emails from those you trust and delete the rest, or you may become the next victim of a digital desperado.
This episode of the Digital Desperados podcast is brought to you by SaferNet VPN, found online at SaferNet.com.
Calling all entrepreneurs and parents. Protecting those we love on the internet is important. Safeguard your ventures and loved ones with SaferNet VPN. Our cybersecurity app keeps you safe on any device. Shield your business from cyber threats while ensuring a family-friendly online environment. Simplify your digital life with SaferNet VPN today. Get secured now. Sign up at SaferNet.com. That's SaferNet.com.